Good evening, everybody. It's Jen Louziotis. I'm your co-host from Spiritual Happy Hour. I'm here tonight with my other co-host, Janelle Hoyland. Janelle is a soul pathway healer and a psychic channel intuitive. And our show, Spiritual Happy Hour, is here to help everybody live a easier life, a more connected life, to help you lead with your more authentic self. We like to say that we provide real life solutions through divine conversation. And tonight we are going to be talking about soul groups. We've never talked about this before, and for any of you joining us for the first time, as I said before, Janelle is a soul pathway healer, and she is an intuitive, and everything that she does in the show is channeled in. I am a huge thinker, if you will, concrete thinker. So I ask a ton of questions and she channels in all the answers with her team. So let's get started. And Janelle, when we talked about this topic 2 days ago, like I said before, we've never talked about soul groups. And I thought I had a pretty good understanding about what soul groups are until you said to me that we bring soul groups into our life in order to learn life lessons. And I had it in my head the complete opposite. I thought that soul groups were pre-planned before we came to Earth, and that they were just really important people in our life, our family, maybe a few friends as we go through life. I had no idea that as we move through life, we keep attracting in different soul groups. So if you just want to start with the basics and just explain, help me understand and everybody else, what are soul groups? Because they're not what I thought they were.
Well, so here's what. We all would like to think that we're just walking around in the world where, we're just blissfully unaware and just random stuff happens. This is how we think. And the truth is that there is nothing that's not on purpose, and it's always divinely in the moment. So honestly, we are moving in a rhythm. It's just relatively unconscious to us all, except for a few of us who take note of it and actually move in that direction so that we take in greater understanding.
So, but I would think then, is this something though that we pre-plan before we're born? And is our family, I'm thinking our family is our first soul group. Is that right?
Yeah, actually it is. What's interesting to me, so let me back it up a little bit because I went straight in. Okay, so what are soul groups is the first question. Mm-hmm. Okay, so soul groups are different groups of people or different people that you gravitate towards you to learn a particular lesson about yourself or about life in general.
Okay.
So that can happen in any person, the grocery store clerk, the guy that makes you angry on the phone, whatever particular way that you need to get whatever it is that you need to get, it's divinely orchestrated so that you get those things.
Okay, so you answered a couple of questions already. So first of all, it doesn't have to necessarily be a group. So a soul group can be two people, or even mm-hmm. like the dog and a person, or a bird and a person. It doesn't have to just be like more than one or two or three. And it's interesting to me that it can come through, and I know you've said this before, you've said this in past shows, lessons or messages can come through anything or anybody. But it's interesting that you can learn something through just the store clerk. And is that but how is that different, Janelle? How is learning through the soul clerk as a soul group different from just receiving a message from the store clerk, if you will?
Well, it's interesting. Okay, so receiving a message is your team wanting to help you out with something that wasn't in your previous toolkit, right? So like You may need an answer to something that you had asked for, and your team or your guides will send you that through a person or a billboard or what have you. So that's different from, the message is different from the lesson, clearly. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
so the lesson comes in the form of conversation or, navigating those interpersonal relationships. Even if it's just the grocery store clerk, you're still navigating a relationship with that person. It's a frequency that you send out.
Okay, and how do you choose? I mean, how many different lessons are we learning? Because it could be anything from trust to worthiness, I don't know, to being your own leader, or maybe to being a good listener. What are some of the lessons that we choose for ourselves?
It's, I mean,
there's a million.
How many lifetimes you got?
I know, right? Exactly.
I mean, I got a bunch of time. I mean, I got a bunch of lifetimes. We can, I don't know. Maybe we can get like 10 or 15, like million, 10 or 15 million. Let's go with 10 or 15 million. That sounds close.
But okay, so then here's the question. So I guess it really doesn't matter. Like if I'm trying to learn trust,
right?
Maybe I develop a really good relationship with the store clerk, and
yes.
So it can be the I'm trying to say, like, the layer of trust that makes it a lesson versus a message can be taught to me through that person, either in one time or several. Is that right? It depending on how often you see them. Like, how do we design whether it's a one-time lesson or if it's ongoing?
Well, how stubborn are you?
Okay, all right, there you go.
Well, yeah, and on also how, I mean, really honestly, do you actually want to learn stuff? Sometimes you like being blissfully unaware in la la land, you know, and that's easier sometimes, you know, but I would actually branch out and tell you that it's easier intentionally. So what if you intentionally say to the universe, like, hey, I know I'm moving in these soul groups unconsciously at this point. Can you make me aware of those so that I can flow in more harmony and more rhythm instead of having so much resistance? And can I learn to appreciate those?
Right. Well, I was going to ask you, how do we go into identifying, because how many we can be in, like we just said, we can be in like about 100 of them, 200, 300 at one time and not know. So how, two things, how can we be more open to understanding when it's a soul group, and then what our role is? Because I'm assuming we can be teacher, not that we need to actually teach someone. I don't want someone to think, oh, I've got to stand there and teach you. Not in that sense, really.
No.
But for yourself, you to understand that with the responsibility of when you move through with people, I guess if you're more in tune with your own lessons, that's going to help the whole group as a whole. So, yes. So how do you become in tune with who your group is, and then what your lesson is? Do you just ask yourself, what am I trying? Where am I trying to be better in my life, or what are my own intentions? What are my goals?
Right. So here's the thing, like, you don't necessarily want to open up that Pandora's box, you know what I'm saying? Because let's face it, honestly, life in general, we have a lot on our plate already. So if you just go like, hey, I'm going to open up Pandora's box and I'll ask all my soul groups to just reveal themselves, you're not ready for that. You just need to know. That's no. Just leave that in that box and just with a pretty little bow and leave it over there. But what you can do is you can ask for those to come in an easier, more transitional way, so it's less resistance on your part and letting go of some things, or digesting some things, or standing in a place of support for another person as well.
Okay. You know how I love examples. Can you walk me through an example, if anything comes to mind, of how that might look?
Mm-hmm. Oh, like your husband or my husband, that's a soul group. Your family. Right. Okay. So the only difference is that I am aware in the moment, usually when they're coming at me. I can feel either I feel a lot of friction or I feel a lot of tension, and I know there's some place in there for me to dig deep, and go inward. And you know this about me, but not everybody else knows. I really do a lot of my own work, and I go into those really deep lessons for myself so that I can really transition through those. But I feel like, some people do not take those on willingly. Hang on. My husband's calling me. Hang on. Speaking of.
Oh my God, I love this.
I'm not kidding.
Okay.
See, I wasn't lying. He's actually calling me. Sorry. And his song is Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So for his ringtone, just so you know.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Not that you needed to know. But yeah, so let's say, for example, you're in a relationship with your significant other. That's a soul that's a soul group thing. If you go to a class and you're taking a workshop or you're in college, that's a soul group.
Right, that one I knew. But again, when you compare them, like clearly with my husband or my children or even my extended family or intimate family, I'm learning deeper lessons, I would think, because I should hopefully be willing to look at myself and be more vulnerable to who I am. And I know you mentioned this just before we went on air, how this is really helping us to build our own connection with our authentic self and sort of go deeper in who we are. How do we, it's just interesting to me though, Janelle, like how do we navigate this from even the time when we're kids? Because you would think that we would have had it all together when we were younger and there really wouldn't be any need for soul groups per se. I mean, there are in terms of lessons that you want to accomplish for yourself moving through, but there's less resistance at that point.
Right. So like when you're younger, right, you get into an argument or disagreement on the playground, what happens? You get over it the next day, you're best friends. Mm-hmm. So as you become an adult, you have less adaptability, and also you have less, you also have, well, same word, but less resistant. You have more resistance to change, and you have more resistance to seeing your own stuff. So that all plays a factor in it as you get older, and then what you're mirrored in your life through your parents and through that is a soul group as well. So the essence of the soul is only it's only here to express itself in the highest form possible without all those layers and debris, right? So the closer that you get to letting those pieces kind of move in and out, and kind of walk through those tough places within yourself. And honestly, some are fun. Some soul groups are fun.
You just read my mind, because I was like, well, wait a minute. Like, I'm sure you can just have the happy, I don't know, go exercise with your friends, go have your running group, go have your bowling group, go have your swim club, right? And then that's just really for you to be free and learn that expression of yourself. Right.
Totally.
Got it.
So you can have that. That can be an intention. You can set that intention.
Right.
But you really can't change when the lessons are going to come to you and when the soul groups are going to come to you. You really can't change that. But like when you go into, like, say, a workshop, a spiritual workshop, or you go into some kind of healing modality, the energy is already raised at a certain space, right? And then the group is formed based on your unconscious signal that you're sending out to the other people to put each other in this group so that you can both or all learn at the same rate, and therefore you contribute to the whole.
And that's, it's funny though, when you say it in a group setting like that, that's the easy one for me, because I would tend to go into a group setting, whether it's learning something spiritual, learning something with something that I love, an art piece of art, or something more open.
Oh,
Going
yeah.
back to what you said a little bit before, how when we get older, we have a little bit more resistance into seeing our own self or our own stuff. I think when I think about soul groups with family or long-term relationships, I can see where there's a little bit more bumps that might go into the mix, or I may choose to not necessarily take a look at myself and say, no, that's somebody else, that's somebody else's piece. How do we make that opening up the Pandora's box that you talked about in the beginning? How do we do that?
So here's what. How about it's a willingness to move? How about it's a willingness to really not just learn lessons, but maybe get in touch with that place of you that is not attached to what we're doing here.
Right, I can see that. The minute you said a willingness to move, it's fantastic, because as you said before, that puts no labels on anything. That's all that is just movement. Mm-hmm. So that takes away automatically any resistance to anything. Because if you look about it and think about it as all I'm doing is just allowing myself to move, well, then I can see how you go right into allowing. Just by you saying that changes the whole way that I would approach it or look at it.
Yes, because the thing is we're looking to do something, and what if it's just an allowing? You know, so it's the willingness of you to say to the universe, I don't need to figure this out. I'm just willing to be moved into these spaces where I can see myself in someone else's reflection back to myself as a greater image of myself.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because as your group...
Wait. Go ahead. Did you catch that?
Yes, the greater reflection of yourself, and then the wave went through.
Okay, so pause for a minute. Okay, so sometimes when I say things, they're bigger concept pieces, and they have a ripple effect. And so I'm trying my best to stop in those moments, to give them time to settle in, so that they have root and take anchor here. When I said that to you, it almost makes me want to cry, because there's that bigger presence of, stop looking for something wrong and look for what's right.
Right. And for me, again, just the way it was brought in for you to phrase it, there's a new understanding for me of just allowing. You can feel that in the air.
Yes.
And I guess, Janelle, does that mean then, it sounds so funny, if I allow myself to be in that space of allowing, and then I've got my soul group around me that's reflecting myself back to me, will that also reflect that piece back to them? And that's what's going to take, I guess, strip off more layers and bring me to a more authentic self.
Yeah. Okay. Because the truth is you just want to hang out with people anyway. You don't actually want to do work. You just want to have fun, and you want people to have fun with you, and you want to have fun with them. But all this other stuff is energy, sort of like debris, that is in the way between you and that other person. And so whatever, we come together, not always in opposing energies, so, a lot of times we just come in different frequencies. So we got to figure out what that frequency is. What is that person's vibration that they're sending out? And oftentimes, because we're so unconscious of that, our thoughts and our emotions and our body aches and all of that are, being sent out as a frequency in front of us that people feel and respond to, then we don't understand why we have so much conflict.
Right. And I was going to say, from day to day, I may come in with a completely different frequency, at 10 o'clock in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in from the bus stop than I do if, I don't know, I get into a big traffic jam or I get caught in a downpour or something, and or I'm in a situation where there's a lot of tension around me that I'm not conscious to, that I kind of walk right in and bring it into the house with me. And I see what you mean about creating that debris. So then because in just allowing, without making it too much in our headspace, because that's where I'm always coming from. I mean, I know I don't want to wake up every day and hold my attention to think, oh, I need to allow this, you know, you know, to move forward. But there is a little bit of being conscious to the ebb and flow of things. And as you said, to work through the intention of where do I want to go, or not where do I want to go? How would I like to be? What do I want to experience, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for me, it looks like this. What do I want people to feel when they're with me?
Oh, that's perfect. Perfect. Like, or experience while they're standing next to me. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah. And really, like, I have a deep love for people. And so when I'm coming in from that place, it's really that energy in that space that I'm coming in from, is that I want everyone to feel the kind of love and support that I experience on a regular basis. And so that's why I share so freely, as much as I can, to help raise that bar and help raise the understanding around that, you know, that it really can be fun. You can walk through those lessons and go, oh, okay, that was great. That was fun. Yeah. I mean, it may take you a couple days, but, you know, realistically, it can be done.
Yeah.
And then there's times where you get hit more with really tough lessons than you do others, you know?
Or repeating, a little bit of repeating, because can you have, sounds so funny, lesson overlap in the sense of, if you've got two separate soul groups, maybe one at your workplace and one at home, if I'm working on a trust thing at home, right, is it the same? Could I be working on a different facet of that in how I communicate with people at work or in a different group setting?
Yes, you can. Absolutely. So it can be connected to, and that's a great question, because oftentimes I think people think that it's separate issues, but in reality, it's the same. You know, so let's say you're having communication problems with your husband, then you're going to have communication problems usually at work and people understanding you. It'll just show up in a different form.
That's so interesting. So it's almost like a different part of a lens, or a different side of a box, right? But it's connected. So the box has all the sides. You just have the left side at home and the right side at work. And so is that just your soul's way and the universe's way, again, of trying to reach you with a lesson through other different personalities, so that maybe you start to learn the lesson through one that's a little easier for you, if that makes any sense to you, Janelle?
Yeah.
So
sometimes it's easier. Sometimes it's just a different, like a subtle shift, you know,
right,
in the perspective of what that is, right? So we'll just try any way possible to kind of shift that and make you more conscious and make you more, you know, help you relate more to that authentic place that you are, without all that stuff that you do in your head about what people are really meaning to say and why did they say this and why did you know, how come that person looked at me this way? And well, I woke up and I had this bad dream. So you're going to emit that frequency into that. So then you got that. And then, you know, your body was hurting on your knee. So then you got your knee, and then you may have not eaten all the way and you had a bunch of caffeine. So then you're jittery, and then you're getting the picture.
Yeah, no, totally. As a whole, and you probably can't really answer this because everybody's different, but do you find people roll through lessons easier in one environment than the other? Like are we more open to work? Because at home, we're sort of our real self, right? I mean, if I want to get my back up, I'm going to certainly do it with somebody from my house. I'm not always going to do it at work. I'm going to be a little nicer, you know, and maybe watch my P's and Q's and watch my manners a little bit more.
Not always the case. Some people are actually worse at home than they are at work.
So,
because you don't have to take them home with you and sleep in the bed with them.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying that, sometimes can be the opposite reality of that truth. So yeah, you can certainly have the viewpoint of, oh, like I'm going to be a certain way instead of being authentic to who you are, right? And so then that also emits a frequency of have to, right?
Right.
I have to be something or do something, and then that's another overlay on you. So basically all of these things that I'm saying are like labels or energy that you're emitting into your life to attract these things into your life. And not always just you, but it's it goes back and forth. So like I attracted Jen into my life so that we could do the radio show together. That was an agreement that she made a long time ago. She may not like it. I don't know. I didn't ask her. Maybe I should have asked her that question. I should have asked her. I should have put the box in where we came in together. Maybe she needed the option box of like, did I actually, or maybe I didn't even want to do. What if I didn't even? What if? I'm just joking.
Yeah. What if you went
joking.
Her again? Oh God! Like really?
I'm just joking. It's all.
I know. No, I know you are. Me too. Me too. She didn't get it last time. God, I do this again with her, please. Really? And she's coming in with that head of hers. Oh my God!
I hit the wall again like 50 times.
Yeah.
But no, here's the thing. Like it can go smooth or it can go rough depending on who you are. I think the thing to remember about soul groups, and this is why they're so interesting to me and why they kind of stick out to me. They've always stuck out since day one. When I first started doing one-on-one sessions with people would come to me in groups, and not knowing that they were coming in groups, they were coming singular, but they all had this common thread. And so I started paying attention to that and noticing that, oh, wow, we're actually moving in herds.
Yeah. And even Janelle, I remember when we were on radio, we used to take calls at the end of the show. We would, without even asking for it, there was always a common theme, and it wouldn't necessarily be as overt as everybody likes blue today. It would come in differently from very different walks of life and different scenarios for people, but there was always a common theme. So let me ask you this. Okay, so universally, where are we at? Because we're all one huge soul group, right? So you've got your soul groups at your house and maybe at work, and then I don't know, your town and your state and what have you. But universally then, clearly we're all trying to learn to love one another and be unified. But what are some of the bigger lessons that we're trying to move through collectively? Because again, we've got to do it as we do it one by one, we affect the whole.
Well, it's interesting. So when I go back and I think about the groups that were put together, usually it was around the common core things that we struggle with, like love and relationship, loss of self, identity to self, which can show up in a bunch of different forms, like depression or anger, or some people have OCD or get addictive behaviors around that. And then a couple of the other ones are, this is interesting to bringing this one up because apparently it's relative. Using confusion or loss of purpose as a place to feel victim or not move forward.
I think that's a big one now, actually, and I can say I've been for myself. You know what I mean? That's really interesting that they brought that up, because
and money. I forgot money.
Right, but I think the whole piece of purpose, because that's been the purpose as the buzzword for the last 15 years has
Yeah.
been really out there. So I find that really interesting that that's sort of come to the forefront with money and relationship and everything else. You know, hey, Janelle, as we move through life, right, we have different lessons to learn. And I asked this before, like with trust. I'm assuming two things. You know, the way I trust in my 20s might be different. I might trust more wholly and authentically in my 30s and 40s and 50s. So I'm assuming we can have lessons or the depth of a lesson all the way through our life. But how many, and I know you said this in the beginning of the show, you said, God, there's infinite lessons that we can all choose to learn. But do we come in and choose maybe 5 big sub lessons for ourselves through the groups?
Right. So the best example I can give you is my own. Okay. So I came in the early part of my, childhood. I walked through, I know, at least 5 or 10 lifetimes in a short amount of time before I was 15. So if you take that and then you figure we're just talking about this one life right now, that's a lot of lessons wrapped up really quickly, right? So I have to move. And no matter how hard it hit me or how much it hurt, I had to move through those. Why? Because my soul had a particular deadline it wanted me to be at. So it's going to move me to that place. The only difference between me and you, or say me and the everyday person, is that I'm aware of it. Why am I aware of it? Because it's part of what I do. So that's why I'm saying it's not, the purpose in having this conversation is not so that everybody can go, are you in my soul group? Are you in my soul group? Did you bring my lesson today? Where's my sticker? I want my star. I'm looking for my purpose. Do you have my purpose? No, it's just to give you the understanding of who we are as a soul.
Right. And it's funny because I always try to say that at some point in the show that anything that we do on the show is not necessarily for all of us to take this to the max and get all in our head about it and study it for 5 years and get all nitty gritty about it. It's really, as you said, the lesson and the vibration, because you bring it in so clearly that it can be felt, of what it is, the purpose of what we're talking about, and then how to allow that into your life. So I think what we do is replant and re-spark the information that's already in there in our DNA, or to kind of come to the forefront of our memory, so that our experience of ourselves and who we are to each other is completely different. But I find it interesting because whenever we start talking about the nitty-gritty in the show, you can always feel the vibration kind of go down. Before we were talking about allowing, it was so peaceful and high. And then the minute I get into the nitty gritty, it goes straight to almost like office chat,
Yes. Yeah. You feel like uncomfortable in your skin and like you want to exit stage left, and just, pull the curtain. Yeah. It's a, not, I don't want to say it's a negative vibration. It's not a negative. It's just a different frequency from the one that we actually like to enjoy. I mean, of course, we like to feel in that higher vibration, connected, joy, peaceful, love, all of that stuff. And we can experience that on a daily basis. But, I think we get caught up in the purpose of things, too much. And so that's why I think, it's so important for you and I to reiterate the fact that the purpose in this conversation about soul groups is not so that you go and look for them in the other person or look for them in your everyday experience, but more so that you just set the intention that you walk through those, a little bit easier,
and have a little more fun with it.
Yeah, have a little more fun with them, because right now you're doing them haphazardly and randomly, and then you get pissed off at the universe because you think, you got dealt a bad hand. But in reality, it's because you haven't walked through that yet, so you don't really know what's on the other side. But there's a whole lot of not trusting either when it comes to the universe. We don't really have a lot of faith in the system. We like to do it our own way. And how's that working?
Right. And it's funny because one of the things that we mentioned in the book on protection, we did a show on protection, and I'll never forget this. I was so blown away because in the time that we were speaking about protection, what came up, and I thought we were just going to talk about being protected, the nitty gritty of that, and we did a little, but what came up was the trust in the plan and the true 100% trust in the universe, that they've, they're on your side. They're ready to give you anything and everything that you could ever want and need. And again, once you have that trust, to just step right into things and know when you feel pulled to go in a certain direction, to just do it and not have that resistance.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think you and I are kind of experienced that in the deadline of the book. Like the deadline of the book was really hard set, and we've walked through our own fires, in the sense, on your side personally and my side personally, and all number of things in between. But the date has never changed.
Right.
So, we can not do that date and see what happens.
No, I'm not doing that.
You know what I'm saying? But that's a good example of like just completely trusting that there is a reason for that. I don't even know what it is. I don't even know. That's weird for me. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm turned loose. I'm okay. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it means, and I'm good with that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I think that almost, correct me if I'm wrong, that almost also overlaps with last time's discussion on divine appointment, because for me, there's a feeling of that date, and I just know it's going to be, and that's one of those things where it's like, okay, that has to happen.
Well, soul groups are just like divine appointments in similar in nature. So this is kind of a segue conversation to what we talked about last time. Being there's set points in your life where you're supposed to meet someone or have a conversation with someone. This is the same, not the same thing, but a different thing. Whereas like, there may be 10 people that call one person on customer service, but they all have the same complaint. You don't know that you're in the group with 10 people that are all complaining about the same thing. You just think that you're complaining about your one thing. What if you're actually complaining with 10 people at the same time?
Well, Janelle, tell me, because that's so interesting, because in the Divine Conversation show that we did last time, you talked about having divine appointment and that other people witnessing it. And that can be someone else's divine appointment. Is that the same with soul lessons and soul?
Yeah. So a great example of that is like when let's say you're watching, The Voice. You're watching The Voice and the people are singing, right? And then there's a person who has a really great voice, and then they're so moved by the person that they see on the stage singing that then they go make their appointment to go sign up and audition. Yes, those are that person is. You're catching it at that right time to feel that vibration, to feel that energy, to get you off your butt and move you to what the universe is asking.
See, I love that as an example of a soul group, because again, it's not in your head. It's just simply being there when you need it to be, and being open, as you always say, being open to what's going to move you, and then going and taking that first step, because that's the other piece too. If you need to take a first step, if you need to move. And do that. Don't give yourself 20 excuses of, well, no, it's raining. I can't do that.
I always, my little trick is for me, and this is not for everyone, because, understand this is special warning. Warning, do not try this at home unless you're well versed in how you feel. I always go with my intuition, and if my intuition says that I'm supposed to be somewhere or something's supposed to, I do it. And then I may or may not ever find out why. I'm not worried about it. I just know that I answered and did what I was supposed to do. So there you go. It's done. My job was to listen and act.
Yeah, see, I love that. And I love when you put it that way. You always say, just those little pieces, like your job is to be open and receive, or my job is to listen and act. I love it because it's just little things, and it's like, that's all it is. Don't analyze it. Don't go into it. But of course I have another question. It's
always.
It's a little off related, but I do wonder this. So is our team, your team, my team, are they part of the soul group? Do they choose to be in that, or are they just a completely different category?
Yes and no. Yes, they are a part of you and I together, the exchange, because that's energy, but they also have their own thing that they do. So it's a yes and a no. Yes, like there are certain times where like I can feel when I meet someone, their team starts playing with my team, and it's like this big playground fest on the other side, and both teams are like, yay, we're so happy, and they're doing like a little dance. And then other times they're like, God, can we just move? Can we just move? Can we just go? I just want to go somewhere. I'm gonna talk
Their
to you.
team is like that? That's hilarious. I didn't think that people on the other side could be like that. I thought they were all like joyous and happy and go, go, go. Or they're just sick of the lesson that their person down here isn't getting. So they're like, oh man, are we back at the ranch again? Like, come on.
Did she hear you? I don't think she heard you this time. You may want to say it in code, Morse code. That would work.
Yeah.
You think that would work? Or
we've
French?
Tried dreams, we've tried TV, we've tried Starbucks, we've tried everything, and it's not working.
Hello. Hello.
Now, what about people that have passed on in your family? Can they remain in the soul group if they want to help you learn? And I'm not saying for people to get stuck on that.
Hijack you too.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't want people to get stuck on that either. I'm just simply saying, like, hey, if you were really close to your granddad and he passes away and he
may come in to help you, and that's a part of his agreement. But keeping in mind that not everyone who's passed always gets their stuff worked out, so.
Yes, you said that to me before. That was a myth, I think, that I had in my head. I thought you just popped over and you just were like, yay, I'm perfect. I did it. And I'll never forget the day you said that to me. You go, no. You don't, so trust, but no, like, right, go with your own.
Yeah, if you feel it is off, then it probably is, so it doesn't matter whether it's over there or over here. You got to trust your gut.
Yeah, definitely. So I love the soul group conversation because we're heading into in 2017 a 1 year, which is when you add up the number 2 and 1 and 7, you get the number 1, and the vibration is really new beginnings. And so I love when we tackle a topic like this, because to me it just adds just gives a little bit of like I said, like a jog of the memory as we sort of move forward into what the new year might hold for all of us.
Well, it's also interesting to me because the thing that I'm hearing right now is that, we weren't allowed to have the conversation about soul groups until now because we weren't ready for it. So that to me is like, yay, we're moving forward. We're progressing. We're actually making progress. Hallelujah.
So to me, again, so that signals it's almost like a springboard, right? So, okay, here we go, right? So, I love that.
Yeah. So, like I said, my whole thing is don't go out and look for it. Are you in my soul group? I just want to know, because Janelle said it the other day on the radio. I want to know, are you a part? Well, Susie said you're a part of my soul. You're not part of my soul group. Get away. Just go over there. Just go. No, just set the intention that you just move through those at easier harmony. And the purpose in doing this was so that we could actually be intentional about those soul groups and be honorable about them, and hold a different space for them instead of haphazardly just walking unconscious through our lives. Why don't you just ask for them, and in that they go smoothly and easily, that you don't necessarily need to know who they are, but just say, I don't know who these people are, but I'm going to ask that, whatever I need to give to them, I give to them freely, and whatever they need to give to me, they give it to me freely.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. See, you always sum it up. I'm like, okay, well.
But, so you know this, I know this, but they don't know this, that the Spiritual Happy Hour book is like so close, we're inches away, you know, and part of my work with people is in that soul group thing. That's my whole, like, yeah, you want to intensify, and I am the person that does that. I move people in groups and transform them and turn it around and make it a big, beautiful, pretty package and present it to the world. And that is one of my greatest loves, is to see people move in a different vibration together as a whole instead of singular as a single unit. It's more effective.
And well, and also to experience those aha moments with people, to watch them from maybe being in a headspace to move into more of an allowing and have that flow that they're meant to have. I think it's fantastic. One of the things that I love about our book is I feel like it answers so many questions that people might have just about life in general. We tackle so many topics: intention and soul history, protection, right? Janelle, trust, worthiness. It's all in there. In a, as you said, in a really funny, flowing way.
Yes, and side note, no drinks are harmed in the making of this book. Warning though, the thing is both Jen and I experienced this, even in doing my own stuff. Rereading it and going back through the book has been a whole journey in itself. Like, you and I have read it multiple 10 plus times, I'm sure, and we each get something else from it. Like, I learned from my own self. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, think about that. That's craziness.
No, me too. And same thing. Every time I read it, I think, oh, I've got it all. And then I'll read it again, and something else comes to my attention that I didn't see before. But you know what else I love though? The energy of the show now is different than what it was when we were on the radio, right? You can feel it. It's the vibration is higher. You can just feel that that piece for us, that we're ready for the next topic and the next things that your team wants to bring in to teach us and show us, so that we can just keep, rolling through life and just having a blast. So,
well, I would like to throw out a little challenge to our listeners and tell them, if they would like us to cover a topic, to please shoot it to Jen at Spiritual Happy Hour, right, at Gmail.
Yes, spiritualhappyhour@gmail.com. Absolutely. You can also put it on Facebook. We've got the Spiritual Happy Hour page on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. We will very shortly have the Spiritual Happy Hour website coming up. But for now, spiritualhappyhour.com, because absolutely, I would love to hear from listeners what's on your mind. What do you want to know about life? And for me, this is my way of really trying to integrate heaven and earth. And, I call this my cheat sheet. Like, Janelle's like my big cheat sheet GPS person that really brings in the information. So when I go back out in every day, again, not that I'm looking for the soul group people or I'm saying, oh, this is my divine appointment. No, but I've got that in the back of my, my head or into my consciousness now. And, I can move through life in a completely different way than I ever did before.
What's interesting about that is you're actually changing your energetic signature so that you move in a different way and you actually attract different groups.
Okay, so now, see that there? I'm pausing for that one. All right. Changing your energetic signature through life. Now, okay, so here's this question. So we come in with one signature.
Yeah.
Okay. We always then have the ability to change it and make it better, right? It's never, like, we never go backwards. You've told me that before. But if it gets muddied in the middle, what happens?
Yeah, so it's less. So here's the thing. You come in as this baby who's really solidly connected to God and the universe and just love and pure light and just happy all the time. And then you walk through your life's journey. And then you become deluded and you have belief systems and overlays, and your soul becomes more aware, and you start having past life memories, and all of this stuff comes up. And then you go, wait a second. I'm not, you feel, want to say not happy, but there's a moment at which you stop and you go, I have to do something different. So that's your soul reaching out to you to connect back again to where you originally started. So you have to get clean again, basically.
That makes sense. That makes total sense. And so this is a way today's conversation to helping you go back. But I just love that soul signature. Again, you've never used that before. You have never said that before. Soul signature, never.
Yeah.
And that's in your name. That's not even in your name. Is your soul signature part of your name? Or is it just your energy?
No, yeah, your vibration, all of who you are is that vibration, you know, that is basically like, best example would be for me. Like for me, there was a visual point at which I literally raised my flagpole with my soul's name on it, on the flagpole of whatever you would call the universe to be, to say I'm here. So that was my signal for, okay, I'm ready to do this assignment that God has asked me to do.
Okay, so you're like in the NFL. So where's the rest of us on the flagpole? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know we're just trying to learn how to clear the debris.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the deal. You can absolutely say, intend that, that you want to say to God, okay, I'm ready for whatever purpose you have for me. And understanding purpose is not related to money at all, or career.
Yeah, you've said this before. You've said
it has nothing to do with that.
Isn't it just what your soul wants to create or experience in this lifetime?
Yeah. Yeah. My whole thing is, if at the core of my being, right? It's at the core of your being. It's what you believe in. So I strip everything aside. My core self just wants to see everybody experience that love and joy. Raw, pure. And you see it, you feel it in me. That's outside of what my role is or what my assignment is here.
Got it. Okay, and we all of us have a piece of that, right? Because again, we all start as babies in that whole shining.
Yeah. That's the clue, is it's back there. So whatever self that you felt at that moment, or whatever you identified with, like oftentimes, like with your kids, you'll see them say it. They'll say, well, I just want everybody to be happy, or to get along, or to, I wanna make flowers, or whatever thing that they're wanting to do is really so authentic and so pure. There's no agenda to get somewhere, or learn something, or be something, or do something. It's just the expression. There's no agenda in expression.
Yeah. So again, as we move through the lessons, we hopefully get closer and closer and strip these things off to who we are. Janelle, this is just for my own. People that have less, and again, I don't want people to go out and ask this question, so I shouldn't even ask it, but since it's halfway out of my mouth, I'll say it. You can tell who has more layers than not, correct? It must look different to you, right? It feels different to the rest of the world, right? We can all feel each other. We just aren't always aware. But for you, it must look different.
Because I can see it. And so I see it, and then I feel it. And then so I'm multitasking in extreme version. So I'm seeing it, I'm hearing it, and my team is telling me at the same time.
Got it.
And then you're speaking something, so that's creating another vibration. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Well, that wasn't meant for people to think about that either, but it just pops into my head now. I'm like, oh no, I don't want anybody going, Janelle, what do I look like? What color am I? So nobody do that.
Everybody's purple. Okay. With green little hats.
It was more going back to the soul signature and thinking in my own head, visualizing what that may have looked like or felt like, and thinking about my own self moving backwards towards that peaceful harmony way of being.
Yeah. So, I think, here's the deal. Honor yourself in what you feel, and try to look at yourself also too from the other person's perspective, and try to, see, well, how was I affecting them, or how was I causing the other person to maybe pause or step back or not feel great about themselves, we are very quick, as to point the finger at another person and say, it was them, they dumped all over my parade. We don't take a lot of interpersonal responsibility. So here's the thing, just intend that those soul groups go easier and quicker, and you walk through them faster, and maybe with more awareness around them, and be willing. So I'm going to be willing to, and also attract the good ones, not just the lesson ones,
Yeah, ask for, I guess, intend that those are going to come in. For example, with our book coming out, there'll be lots of opportunities maybe in the future, right, Janelle, for, surprise opportunities from Janelle and I for all kinds of things.
Right. Well, and, we're goofy together. So you're not seeing that as much tonight, but we really are. We have, well, the first surprise is the endorsement from Sonia Choquette, on our book. That's coming out with a bang. I know I'm grateful. I'm gonna speak for you. I know you're entirely grateful for her endorsement on the book. And we're looking to have it out November, 20th?
Heck yeah. Yep. That's it.
So we're sneaking it out slowly but surely. I'll give you a hint. So the hint is, what's your favorite 80s song? And here's a good one. What wouldn't you wear in the 80s? What would you not wear? Like, it was all, you're not going to do that. You're not going to wear it. And so that would be my two questions. And if you want to shoot us questions for the show, we're open to diving into them. And also too, if at any time you have questions, you want to ask us questions on the group chat, we have the group chat up too. So we take questions live. So
yeah. Yep. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys. Definitely want to hear about any topics you have, anything you want to hear from Janelle's team. Again, it's spiritualhappyhour@gmail.com. You can also find us on Facebook, and you can go and revisit, if you didn't see them live, our past shows. The links are up on Facebook. And the last one was on divine appointment. And there was one before that on how to not judge yourself when you're out and about in places. Right, Janelle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very big one. Very big one.
And as we said before, you can kind of see the shows link one into the other. You can they build on one another,
Yeah, it's a progression. It's a progression of things. And I'm just grateful that Jen is willing to dive into her own hang-ups to allow me to share this wonderful space of creation with her. And to do it live with me is a big deal, because I don't know if you've been seeing it, but all night the lights have been kind of there. Yeah, whatever. They just, the lights go on and off and flicker. And then we have technical difficulties. And yeah, all of that stuff is I'm actually, I don't know. Jen's pretty tech savvy now that I upgraded her a little bit when I was there.
That's right. It is true.
But the perception of spiritual people, okay, this is another label, is that we're not very tech savvy. Or I move very fast. I'm very fast and I'm very tech savvy. So I'm getting it out fast. So anyway, we enjoy having these conversations with you. I know Jen does. I do as well. And go like us on Facebook. Go
subscribe to our YouTube channel. Yep. Definitely.
Yep. Look for the book coming out November 20th or so. Spiritual Happy Hour, a double shot of bad. I'm not going to tell you what the acronym means. I'll save that for later. That's another little surprise. But we are happy to share. So we're going to sign off in about 1 minute. So we usually do, when are we going to do it? Are we going to do bi-weekly?
Yeah, let's do bi-weekly. So
okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, perfect. We'll do that.
Definitely. All right, so look for us in 2 weeks, right? And
yes.
Shoot us some ideas if what you want to hear, because we can split the show and we can take questions from the audience, you know, and we can see what people want to know.
Totally. I'll be on the beach.
Love it. Love her.
Or we can do the cat. Let's do the cat. With a crown? Cat with a crown? Or the cat in a hat? Is it cat in a hat? Oh, see, I'm on the beach. Woohoo! Okay. I'll put this on Jen. Let me put this on Jen. Oh, that didn't work on Jen.
Wait,
no, it didn't work on it.
Myself. Hold on.
We're playing over here. What? Okay, we're playing. I'm sorry, we're playing. It's fun. The Google. Let's see, we put some hearts.
I love it. I love that. No, go back to that one, Janelle. I like that. Your head's coming right out of the. Here, go back.
There's a good one. Yeah. Okay. We'll quit playing and we'll let you go. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your time with each other. Enjoy your family. Honor yourself. Honor your relationships. And be true to you.
And we'll see you next time. All right.
Bye.
Bye.